Hello again and welcome back to my channel, Bella Graffito Art. I am Kirsten and I am here to help adults get their start on creating art at home. So this particular video is about doodling, and it's about one of the kits that I have created to help people start doodling at home. If you do not have the supplies already, I've created these kits to help you out. If you haven't already watched the video, I do have a video about doodling and what it is and how beneficial it is for adults. So you can give a gander at that video and just see some of the topics that are in there. Now this video is going to fully cover what comes in my Doodle Class in a bag. I created these to help people out if they want to get started with doodling, but they don't want to buy a ton of supplies that they might not use again. It's got a nice sampling of supplies in it, so that way you don't feel like you've got to be forced to buy a ton of things in order to get started. And yes, you can do doodling with just a pencil and some paper, but if you want to push that a little bit more and create a little bit more with doodling, these kits will be perfect for you. So if you are new here, you might not know that I used to be a K-12 art teacher, and I'm also an artist myself. You can find a lot of my artwork at www.bellagraffito.com. And that's actually what I've been doing quite a bit the last couple months, is focusing on my artwork, because I had quite a few sales that came through via TikTok. So I kind of had to stop making videos for a little bit. But I am back and here to show you about the Doodle Class in a bag. I also have a watercolor class in a bag, and that video is posted before this one. So if you'd like to see what comes in that class bag, go ahead and check out that video. So let's get into this bag of supplies and see what we got. I have everything labeled on the front, but I want to show you what each supply is, so that way you have a visual to go on. All right, first up we have not only the little info card here, just to kind of help you along the way so you can know where to find the video tutorials that will always be here on YouTube. Rumor has it there might be some other classes available later. I also have a newsletter, which is probably good for you to sign up for, so that way you know when new classes come out or when I have new artwork released. And then my website itself. So handy dandy card for you to keep for your reference. Now I have hand bound all of these. Well, I technically have a binding machine, but I did put all of these sketchbooks together myself. So you've got some nice chipboard, and then I put in between here cardstock, not just regular drawing paper. And you're gonna see why in a little bit when I show you the other supplies. But this has 20 pages of half sheets of cardstock. The great thing about this sketchbook is that it is going to lay flat while you are working. Some sketchbooks tend to bow out in the center, and it kind of throws off your groove when you're trying to draw. So no matter where you are in this sketchbook, it's gonna lay nice and flat for you. Not only will you get this nice sketchbook to work with, you'll also get this set of papers. Now, I want you to think of this sketchbook as like the final boss. So this is going to be something you're going to want to use when you are more comfortable with doodling and you're ready to make more intricate drawings. This set of papers and sketchbooks is really going to be for practicing, learning the techniques, and really understanding how you want to work with doodling. First up, we have this set of artist tiles. These are some of my favorite things to doodle on. They're a nice small size, so they're not very overwhelming when you're first starting to learn doodling, and you can make some really nice artwork on these tiles. You can work on the front and on the back, and the permanent marker does not bleed through these, so they're a wonderful thing to start off with. You can also do something called artist trading cards. So what some people like to do is they'll create their own artwork on here, make sure they sign it on the back and date it, and then they'll trade them with another artist. Another piece that I really like that's great for when you're starting out is this super mini sketchbook. So this one is going to be thinner paper, more like copy paper, a nice sturdy copy paper. This is going to be great for pencil. I highly suggest you use this one to practice some different doodles that you're interested in, some different lines and shapes that you're interested in using. So you almost have your own little index of patterns and shapes that you want to use in your main doodle drawings. So this is going to be super great for that. There's also this nice bound sketchbook. This is a little larger and the paper has a slight texture to it. It'll probably hold up pretty well to Sharpie. Just make sure you put something in between pages so that way it doesn't bleed through onto the next page. That's where this cardstock comes in. So I included some pieces of white cardstock, and this cardstock is exactly what you get inside of the larger sketchbook. But I wanted to include some different colors. You might want to use the permanent markers that are in the kit to draw on some different color paper. Or you might want to use some of these pieces for, like I said earlier, to put in between pages so that way you can draw on a page and not worry about it bleeding through to the next page. Ta-da! We are ready to test out some of these supplies. So don't hate on the background. This is the back of a dresser, or the bottom of a dresser. I've had this for years, but I always use it for painting, drawing, all sorts of things. So whenever you are working with some of these supplies, especially the permanent markers, make sure you've got a surface that you're working on that you don't mind getting some marks on it, because again, we're working with permanent marker. Little tip, if you do get permanent marker on something, sometimes you can take a dry erase marker. This is a lovely teacher tip that I learned when I was teaching. Take a dry erase marker and rub it on top of the permanent marker spot. Sometimes hand sanitizer works too. And then, you know, sometimes it's just gonna be stained, okay? So just fair warning, be careful. I'm gonna show you a little bit about the pencils, the safety compass, and the two types of permanent markers. We're gonna go over that first. So pencils, we've used pencils before, we know what they do, but these are gonna be great for laying down areas where maybe you want to plan where you are going to draw something. So maybe you're not really sure where you want your doodles to be. Maybe you want to plan it out a little bit more and you want to like mark off an area. That's what the pencil is great for. It also works really well with the safety compass, and the fine point Sharpie works well with the safety compass too. So with this compass, I had said earlier you would kind of hold it here on this brass area and then put your pencil in one of the holes and then just kind of take your pencil around to make a circle. It also has these smaller areas here where if you wanted a smaller circle, you could just trace that. I'm going to show you an example of why you would even use these in doodling. So you might end up making something like this. Ooh, this is a piece I worked on forever ago, but I used the safety compass to make all of the larger circles, but I did it in pencil, and then everything else is just with the Sharpie fine point, and then I also used the fine point of this marker in order to make this. So really just having these two tools here is what you can use to make this whole thing. Pencil is optional, but if you're someone who really likes to plan, then you'll probably want to use pencil on there to kind of plan things out. So just an example really quick of using the safety compass if you've never used it before. You would just kind of look along here and decide what size your circle is going to be. We are going to have to remember some math here. And remember that the radius of our circle is half of the diameter. So from one edge of the circle to the other edge of the circle is the diameter. Radius is half of that. So that's what these numbers are representing. That's why when you look on here, you'll be able to see where it says 2 inch and then an R. That's a 2-inch radius, which really means that your circle is going to be 4 inches across because it's going to be double. All right. So let's just do one of these little small ones here. You'll always want to make sure you keep your pencil or your fine point Sharpie or one of the fine point pens. Keep it straight up as you are turning and spin around. Okay. This middle section here is the only thing you're pushing onto. You don't have to push on the brass. You can just push on this plastic piece. We just want to make sure it stays put so the orange area can actually go in a circle. So I'm going to go around And you don't want to lift up until you're completely done, okay? That's how you get a nice circle on there. So the fine point, ultra fine point Sharpie, you can use that to trace around this. You can use it to just make little patterns. So see, that's about the size of the pen when you are marking with it. Now with this marker, I actually really loved these because they do have the broad end and the fine point end. With these, your line's going to be a little thicker. Then you've got the broad end, which actually is multiple markers in one. I'm going to do it out here so you can see. So like I said earlier, this is a chisel tip. If you've ever used a chisel tip marker before, you'll know that if you do it this way, you're going to get that type of line. I can then turn it and get a super wide line. I can even use a little corner of it and get a line that's a little bit thinner, that's almost as thin as the fine point end. So you essentially get 3 lines in one with this chisel tip. So you can put all of those things together and make one big drawing, which I have done before. This is on marker paper. So that is using the safety compass, the pencil, the fine point, ultra fine point Sharpie, and also that chisel marker, the double ended marker that we have here. So that's basically what I used for this entire thing. So I do have a video about doodles, but I'm going to be making more videos about doodles. This is so great for stress relief. I know some people are like, those are Zentangles. I am not a certified Zentangle teacher, so I'm not going to call them Zentangles because I don't want to get sued, okay? So these, we're calling them doodles because that's what they are. Next up, we have our gel pens. So you might decide you don't want to do things that are just black and white. That's why I've also included media that has some color to it. So you might decide you want to do some doodles and you want to do something a little bit more like this. Maybe you want to combine the black and white with the color, or you might decide you just want to do things in color. So that's why I'm including media in here that has some color to it. So here, I'm just going to show you a couple of the colors with the gel markers, the gel pens. So whenever you first start off with these, sometimes they might take a second to start writing. Sometimes they'll just write nice and smooth. I've found it just kind of depends on the pen. Some of the really expensive brands will still be fine. Some of the expensive brands might not be fine and might take a second to get started. But these are really nice and smooth. And I tried to pick a nice variety of colors to put in the pack. So you'll have 6 of them in the pack for you to use. So that way you can just kind of test them out. Some people don't like gel pens. Some people love gel pens. So that's why I got 6. So you can test those out and decide if you are really into gel pens or not. Next up, we have these fine line markers. These are actually from Michaels. So these are really easy to find. These have a nice triangular barrel of the marker. So they're not going to roll off the table when you're trying to use them. And the color of the cap does show you the color of the marker itself. So these, basically like a Crayola marker, these are just markers, okay? But you can still use them to do all your little doodles and swirls, and you can use them to color in small areas. I wouldn't use it to color in a big area because then you're going to really ruin your marker. But they are nice for shading in areas and getting some nice fine lines as well. Next, we have these fine liner pens. These are going to be like a super fine point. You can see it tells you on the end. This is 0.38 millimeters. So we're going to test these out on the paper. This is great for little details. So you can see how these are super, super fine. Nice narrow lines, much narrower than the gel pens. These are going to be great for little details. So like in that drawing I showed you earlier, if you're going to have all these little nooks and crannies, there's even still white space here. If I wanted to take this tiny pin in there, I could still draw some more details. So having a nice varied amount of thicknesses for your lines really adds some dynamic elements to your drawings. Makes it look like you've been doing this for years and you know exactly what you're doing, even though you're just kind of messing around and doodling. So each pack is going to have a different set of colors. So these same colors here won't be in every single pack. So I tried to grab a variety of different colors for you to use within the pack. But you get 5 of these fine liner pens. You also get in the kit 4 of these super, super fine pens. Now these do have some nice vibrant color. They do not have a flexible end on them. So these are very different than like what you would get in the watercolor kit. If you saw that video, there's a watercolor kit that's got like watercolor brush markers and pens. Those have more of a flexible end to them. These, it's basically like we're just writing with regular pens. But again, super, super nice for getting details and just having a variety of color to work with. Now those, compared to these next ones, are going to have a different tip to them. The next ones I'll show you are going to almost look more like the end of the ultra fine point Sharpie. Last but not least, you have these that have a very, very fine point to them. And these look similar to the ultra fine point of the Sharpie. Now, even though some of these pens are similar in the type of line that you can get, sometimes just the grip of the pen itself is something that changes how you like the pen. I know sometimes when it comes to super narrow pens like this, I don't always like using a really narrow pen. So I might decide that I like the ones that were before this a little bit more, just because the barrel of the pen is a little thicker. So those are things to consider whenever you're using pens, because, you know, you might be working on a drawing that's going to last for quite a while and it's going to take some time to work with. If you're working with a pen that feels uncomfortable in your hand, it's not going to make you want to continue. So think about how the pen feels as you're using it, so then you can decide if it's something you really want to continue to work with or not. Hopefully, if you decide to get this kit, you'll be saving some money because you won't have to buy full sets of all these markers and pens. You can just buy the kit, you can test these out, see what type of pens you like, and then you can go off on your own and start exploring more with pens. Because I don't know if you're like me, but I truly love pens. I have quite a few pens. I have lots and lots of pens. I also have paint markers. So you can end up finding some pens that you really love, and then you might find some pens that you're like, I never want to use those ever again. So these are all pens that have become my favorites and that I actually use a lot. Some I use more for writing, some I use for just some doodling. These mild liners, these are really nice because it's almost like a highlighter, but you can use it to gently color something in if you want to on a doodle, or maybe you do bullet journaling. These, the Koi coloring brush pens, these have a really nice thick brush end to them. And they're also super nice for using as like a watercolor effect because these are water-based. So do pay attention when you go out on your own. You might go into an art store and start looking at pens that you want, or it might be just Walmart or Target or wherever you go where you find pens. You're going to want to look at, is it something that's double-ended? Is it something that has a flexible end to it? Is it something that has ink in it? Because there are some pens that just have ink. Or is it something that's got water-based ink that's in it? And you could actually end up using it for watercolor techniques. So finding out what pens you like really is a good thing to do. Don't just go out and buy a bunch of stuff. If that's your vibe, go for it. It's your money. Treat yourself. But if you're balling on a budget and you want to try out some things before you actually get into buying them, then the Doodle Class in a bag is going to be really nice because you've got some great resources in here and you've got lots of different pens to work with to test out before you fully commit to full packages of those pens. I hope you gained some very well-needed info from this video about doodle supplies and different supplies that you can work with. If you think this looks familiar, yes, it's from my little drawing I showed you earlier, and I have it on the bag. But if you decide that you want to get this pack of the supplies, it is on my website, www.bellagraffito.com, and I do have some classes, online classes that I am working on, so that way if you are an adult that just wants a judgment-free zone where you can make some art and you've never worked with certain supplies before, I am working on a series of online classes that you can purchase, so that way you can do it in the comfort of your own home and not have to worry about anybody hunching over your shoulder staring at what you're making. So you can just sit around in your PJs, watch the videos, make some fun art, and have a great time. So I know especially now the world can get crazy stressful. Doodling has been such an asset for me, and I hope it will be a great asset for you too. So don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video if you'd like. I'm going to be trying to work on videos every single week. I have a ton of art supplies in my art studio at home that I want to show you. I've got supplies from IKEA, random supplies I bought on sale that I would love to show you. If you haven't seen my video about art supplies from Five Below, you can check that one out as well. But I really want you to immerse yourself into the world of art supplies and show you that it doesn't have to be as scary as you think it is. So I hope I will see you in the next one. Have a fabulous day.